Here is a silence that follows a soldier home. It's not the quiet of a peaceful night. It's a heavy, hollow silence filled with the echoes of things seen and heard, a stark contrast to the soft, predictable hum of a world that has learned to live without you. For Master Sergeant Kaelen Jacobs, after 20 years of service, this silence was the loudest in the small hours of the morning and the most profound in the observant eyes of his 12-year-old son, Leo. His body, a tapestry of scars and old aches, was retiring, but his soul was embarking on its most critical operation, Operation Legacy. He had 1 year before his final retirement to fortify his son, to teach him not just to survive the storms of life, but to navigate them with the heart of a warrior and the soul of a good man. The homecoming was a ritual Kaelen knew well, but this one felt different. The welcome home dad sign his wife, Sarah, had helped Leo make was faded, a relic from a previous return. This time, as he stepped over the threshold, the weight of his duffel bag felt symbolic. Dropping it felt like an ending. Sarah's embrace was fierce, a decade of worry and love poured into a single, breath-stealing hug. "You're home for good this time, Kael," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. And then there was Leo. He stood a few feet back, a young man caught between the impulse to run and hug his father and the hesitation born from months of absence. He saw the broad shoulders, the sharp haircut, the hero from his video calls. Kaelen saw a boy on the cusp of adolescence, his own gangly limbs and curious eyes, a life unfolding in chapters he had missed. That first night, after a dinner filled with laughter that felt both genuine and fragile, Kaelen found Leo at the kitchen table, head in his hands, a math textbook open to a page of complex algebra. A single tear of frustration had blotched the paper. I just can't do it, Dad," he mumbled, his voice cracking. "It's impossible." Kaelen pulled up a chair. The wooden creak was loud in the quiet kitchen. He placed a hand, calloused and rough, over his son's smooth one. "Leo," he began, his voice a low, steady rumble. "Out there in the desert, we had a rule. The word impossible was a luxury we couldn't afford. It was a surrender. We didn't say, 'I can't.' We said, 'The objective is challenging. The route is compromised. I will find another way.' This equation," he tapped a textbook, "is your objective. Your first plan of attack has failed. So we adapt. We overcome. We do not surrender." For the next hour, they became a fire team. Kaelen didn't solve the problem for him. He taught him to recon the equation, to identify the weak points, to flank the variables. When the solution finally clicked, the grin that spread across Leo's face was a sunburst, erasing the shadow of frustration. In that moment, Kaelen's mission was defined with crystal clarity. His final year in uniform would be dedicated to building an unshakable fortress within his son. Kaelen's teachings were not lectures. They were lived experiences, drawn from a well of hard-earned wisdom. Lesson 1. The OODA Loop, the art of staying alive, metaphorically. 2 weeks after his return, Kaelen took Leo on an overnight camping trip in the state park. He handed Leo the map and compass. "You're leading this mission, Lieutenant." By mid-afternoon, they were thoroughly lost. The trails didn't match the map, and a light drizzle began to fall. Leo's confidence crumbled into anxiety. "We're lost, Dad. What are we going to do?" Kaelen remained preternaturally calm, leaning against a tree. "We're not lost. We are tactically displaced. This is where training kicks in. Time for the OODA Loop. Observe." He made Leo list everything: the moss on the trees, thicker on the north side, the faint sound of a river, the position of the weak, grayish sun through the clouds. Orient. Using those clues, they pieced together their probable location. Decide. Leo, with his father's quiet guidance, chose a direction. Act. They moved out. An hour later, they broke through the tree line and saw their car. The relief on Leo's face was palpable. "We did it!"
"No, you did it," he corrected him. "Remember this feeling, Leo. Panic is the enemy. A calm, observant mind is your greatest weapon. Use this loop not just in the woods, but when you're facing a tough exam, a conflict with a friend, any crisis. Observe, orient, decide, act." A month into the school year, Leo had a major fallout with his lifelong best friend, Mark. A stupid argument over a video game had escalated into weeks of silence. Leo adopted a stubborn lone wolf posture. "I don't need him," he declared at dinner. Kaelen said nothing until the weekend, when he enlisted Leo's help rebuilding the rickety back fence. As they sunk posts into concrete, Kaelen shared a story. "My first sergeant was a hard man. On my first deployment, he paired me with a guy I couldn't stand. Evans was loud, messy, and we butted heads constantly. I thought I was better off on my own." Kaelen paused, wiping sweat from his brow. "During a patrol in a tight alley, I was focused on a doorway. Evans was watching the rooftops. He didn't yell, he just grabbed my body armor and yanked me back hard. A split second later, a chunk of concrete landed right where I'd been standing. It was debris from a collapsing ledge, not an enemy, but it would have cracked my skull open." He looked Leo in the eye. "That man I couldn't stand saved my life because he was my buddy. Your fire team is your family. You don't have to like the same games or music, but you have to have each other's backs. Is your pride worth more than a buddy who's had your back since kindergarten?" The lesson sunk in deeper than any fence post. The next day, Leo was on the phone with Mark. The lesson was about loyalty, forgiveness, and the non-negotiable value of your tribe. As autumn turned to winter, the lessons moved from the external world to the internal landscape of the heart and mind. Lesson 4, embracing the suck, the alchemy of adversity. Leo tried out for the travel soccer team, a dream he'd had for years, and was cut in the final round. He was devastated, retreating to his room for 2 days, convinced his social life was over. Kaelen didn't offer empty platitudes. Instead, he took Leo to the garage where the ancient, non-functional riding lawnmower sat. "This," Kaelen announced, "is the physical manifestation of the suck. It's broken, it's frustrating, it's greasy, and it seems pointless. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rebuild it with me." For 3 weekends, they embraced the suck. Their hands were permanently stained with oil. They sheared bolts, lost tiny screws, and argued over instruction manuals. Leo wanted to quit a dozen times, but Kaelen's quiet persistence was a wall he couldn't breach. Then, one cold Saturday, after connecting the last wire, Kaelen turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, and then roared to life, a triumphant, guttural sound. Leo whooped with joy, the memory of soccer tryouts momentarily forgotten. Kaelen killed the engine, letting the sudden silence emphasize his words. "You failed to make the team. That sucks. It hurts. But look what you built with these hands in the meantime. Failure isn't a stop sign, Leo. It's a detour. It forces you down a road you didn't plan to take, and sometimes you find a strength there you never knew you had. Don't run from the suck. Embrace it. It forges you into something stronger." The most profound lesson came unplanned. A few weeks before Christmas, a neighbor's car backfired loudly right outside their house. The sound was a perfect mimic of a rifle shot. Kaelen's training took over in a terrifying, instantaneous flash. Before Leo could even process the sound, he saw that his father was no longer on the couch. He was on the floor, his body low behind the sofa, his eyes wide and hyper-focused, scanning the room for threats. It was a ghost from another world, a haunting pantomime of war in their safe suburban living room. The whole episode lasted less than 5 seconds. Kaelen slowly uncoiled, a look of profound shame and exhaustion washing over his face. He saw the fear in Leo's eyes. "Dad, are you okay?" Kaelen took a deep, shuddering breath and sat on the floor, his back against the couch. He didn't try to be the unbreakable hero. "No, son," he said softly, his voice raw. Not always. Sometimes the ward comes home with you. It lives in here. He tapped his temple. I see things sometimes. I hear things. I have dreams. For the first time, Kaelen opened up. He talked about the weight of command, the grief of losing friends, the constant low-grade hum of hypervigilance that never truly switched off. Being strong, Leo, he said, pulling his son close, doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It doesn't mean you aren't haunted. True strength is looking that fear, those ghosts, right in the eye, acknowledging them, and still choosing to move forward. And sometimes, the bravest, strongest thing a soldier can do is say, I'm not okay. Your mother, she's